Husson University is welcoming new technology to enhance health students' learning.
My name is Hal Baldwin.
Meet Hal Husson. Using AI, Hal simulates a real patient. He can move, speak, sweat, and even cry. With 15 scenarios already loaded like a simulated stroke or hypertension, the school says Hal will work with occupational and physical therapy, pharmacy, and nursing students to bring their lessons to life. Husson unveiled Hal last week, marking his arrival as a next step in health education.
If we think deeply, Hal aligns very much with Husson's initiatives where they want to ensure patient safety and quality care for all the patients.
The fact that he can cry is helpful to be able to see that, because you're able to respond and ask therapeutic questions, and he can respond back to you in the way that he wants to, versus being fed through somebody else saying it and they're saying that he's crying, versus being able to see it. It incites a different reaction within you when you're seeing that, and it makes you respond a different way.
They say the more people work with Hal, the smarter he will become. The dean of Husson's College of Health and Pharmacy says that even community members can schedule a time in their simulated education center to work with Hal.